Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Breakers Creations and welcome to yet another live stream of this Macintosh SE 30, which needs some love in a big way. I didn't give much warning for this, so notifications are probably going to be a little bit sketchy, and for that I apologise to anyone who might miss out on this. Yeah, this was a bit unexpected. I basically got up this morning, had a pretty productive day yesterday. I didn't have a particularly good night's sleep last night. And then I got up this morning and I'm sort of like, I think I'd like to do a live stream. I am very keen to work on this SE30, and I have actually worked on it a little bit while, in between part 3 and part 4. I haven't done anything particularly earth-shattering, but I will go through and talk about what I have done and why I've done it and what we're doing next and all that sort of stuff and things. And I cannot believe how clean the metal is on this thing. When you look at how bad the board is, it's like, it just doesn't make sense. It's not rational. Oh crap. I really need that. Excuse me a second. I just dropped my floating point unit. So this is the FPU that I took off the unit a while ago when I was first checking it. And I think it's good enough to reuse. I mean, some of these pins are a little bit shaky, but they're still making connection. And once they get some solder on them, I think they'll be nice and sturdy. So, hello to Jay from the House of Moth, who has been nagging me to live stream for a couple of days now, even after I streamed so many times in a row. Steve, Mac84 is here. He had a bit of fun with his Quadra 650 the other day. And I think he ended up getting fed up with it and then just stopped streaming. So that was a shame. But anyhow, it was unfortunate he was streaming at a time when I was rather busy. So I only got to see bits of it. SadMac356 is here. Enzo Fitzhume, hello there. Tassie Bob, hello. Morning. Starbuck Tech is here. Pretzel FTW. Justin Morgan, hello there. Newer MacBook Air. It's a 2015, but that should let me run Monterey. Yes, I'll be honest, Big Sur is still probably my OS of choice. What am I running? I'm running Monterey on this one. This is the one that I'm using for my live streaming, and I'm running Monterey. And I think we can all fairly happily say that Monterey is a fairly stable operating system. I think Apple have ironed that out, and I think people are pretty happy with Monterey in general. Big shout out to the person who gave a thumbs down to this video. Hello and thank you. Inkscuve, hello there. Yes, and so Steve's will be continued. I know he was fairly tired, and he basically had a little look around the board and did a poke and a prod and stuff like that. And then he just started talking to camera, and I'm like, Steve, let's do some repairs. And he's like, no, but I need a drill. And it's like, just do some repairs anyway. And so I really did nag him into it. It's totally my fault. I accept full responsibility. So I'll just explain something very quickly to Steve now. This is for you. So when I am making holes in little tiny vias, so I have a drill bit set, which is here somewhere. Excuse me. Sorry, I have a bit of a raspy throat at the moment, so I apologise. So I bought this set of drill bits. These ones here. It is specifically designed for drilling holes in PCBs. It goes down to 0.3 millimeters. That's the smallest one. Now that's gone. That's well and truly gone. And so is the next size up. But to be honest, even the 0.3 millimeter is likely to take out the sides of one of these vias on these sorts of things. So what I do instead is I get myself a sewing needle. And no one's particularly fussed about sewing needles. They're very cheap. Doesn't matter if you break them. I then get my Dremel, and I get one of these little kind of grindy. So God, this stuff in this smells. I don't know why, but it smells. Get myself one of these little grindy, spinny grindy things. I put that in the Dremel, and then under the microscope, I Dremel the edge of a needle. So rather than it going to a point like that, I get it to go like that. So a little tiny, thin little point like that. And then I put this little adapter on my Dremel, which is for little tiny drill bits. And I put the needle inside there like a drill bit, spin it up, and then just push it through the hole. You've got to be super careful, super mega steady hand so that you don't twist it and then break it off inside the hole. But that's how I make holes in the vias. And I've only had to do that one time on this board. All of the other ones I've been able to get through, but there was one that was particularly bad. So Anyhow, in his defence, it was 2 a.m. That's fair enough. Catalina didn't cut it anymore. Big Sir will get the security update boot once the next OS hits. So Monterey it is. Yeah, thank you for encouragement via peer pressure. No worries. Yeah, so I am still having all sorts of problems with Ventura on Apple Silicon. I've seen some of the problems on this one as well, but they're mainly happening on the new one. I don't know if it is a hardware issue or whether it's just the operating system, but I'm not a big fan of Ventura. It's the Catalina to me, so I don't know if I just want them to bring out a new one and abandon it, or whether they will refine it when they get all the updates done. But it's just so flaky. Maybe just they made too big a changes. I'm not sure. So. Just a reminder, Sloopy Malibu, welcome. A reminder to everyone, if you do have the moment and you are inclined, if it was all right with you, could you please
smash that like button
with a big smashity smash. Oh, look at this. What's it gone to? It's gone to side view. Why has it gone to side view? That should be, this should be, it should go to a different view. Where is it? Front view. It is front view. Okay, so we've had a slight camera issue there. Don't ask me why. Weird stuff happens. I've been fiddling around with extra cameras, and that really seems to upset this software. If you put new cameras on there, in particular if I put a new camera that has the same USB name as another camera, like the C922, it gets all stupid. So anyhow, we're all good. Sorcerer Stan, hello there. Thank you for smashing the like button. I do appreciate it. All right, so let's just have a quick little look at this board, and we'll talk about what I've done in the meantime between parts 3 and parts 4 now. And I'll talk about some of the justification behind that. So, top view. That's not the frickin' top view. That's a top view. And then we need to do this and this. Craziness. It's craziness. Actually, it's the scope view I should have here. My scope view is not even here, is it? Let's just see if we can get the scope view happening. There it is. Hello, scope view. So now we can put that there, and we can get rid of that one. There we go, because we generally like the scope view. So I'm going to be faffing around with the cameras every time I change views, so apologise for that, people. Another thing I've actually done here, this is my microscope, I have sorted out the focus on this. So if when I'm focusing now, I shouldn't get anywhere near the same wobble as I was before. I should just get nice, smooth focus control. I have modified the way this focus mechanism works, and I've modified it in a way that has just made it awesome. So issues I had with it are now gone, and I'm very, very happy. And I did it with paper clips, believe it or not. Paper clips, and ingenuity. All right, so slap the like button. Oh, yes, no, you can't slap it. I don't know what happens if you slap a like button. Right, so quick little top view here. That's not the top view. Let's go to the top view. Top view is that. There we go. Top view. Bang, bang, bang. Now, one of the things I really want to do with this computer is I want to have sound when I'm testing it. Now, in order for me to have sound, I've got to have capacitors on here. They're these sound chips. The big issue that I have here is there was a huge amount of trace damage, and I had to do all sorts of trace repairs there. So I can't just plonk capacitors down on top of that because I'll end up getting shorts. So I've had to do UV solder mask over top of all of the repairs that I've done. And I've had to do quite thick UV solder mask as well. And I didn't want to do that until I made sure I had all of the trace repairs done there, because there's nothing worse than putting UV solder mask on and then finding, you know, that you've got, sorry, there we go. It's nothing worse than having UV solder mask and then finding that you've got to get rid of it and do work underneath it. So I had to make sure these were all good. Then, of course, I needed to get them clean. So this thing then had to get ultrasonic. So I had to put that in the ultrasonic to get it all nice and clean, to then put the UV mask on it. So now it has the UV mask on it, ready for those caps. Frank S, hello there. I took off this connector here so that I could see if there was any trace damage underneath. There wasn't, but I still cleaned it up anyway. So that's all quite good. I took this socket off. This is the ROM, because there's a lot of damage below it, and I wanted to make sure there wasn't any damage under it. So the socket came off, cleaned it up underneath, put a new socket on, and that's good to go there. Clean this up all ready to go for the floating point unit to go on. We're going to put that point unit on probably next, and then we'll put these caps on, and I'll probably put these actual caps on as well. And then we're going to give it a try. So we really are very, very close to actually plugging it in and testing it. Now, just to set expectations, it's not going to work. I'm just letting everyone know now the chances of it working are about 1 in 1,000, really, and I mean that most sincerely. So just set your expectations when we test it for that first time. If I get anything, I will be happy. And it will just be then a process of working through and doing further diagnosis until we can find the issue. You know, I've done a lot of repairs, but this has been in the ultrasonic cleaner since then. It could have washed away some more traces. We could end up having some breaks of things that we have already repaired. So that's that. Chances of smoke, fairly unlikely, but you never know. You never know. I think it's fairly unlikely that I've gone in and accidentally created a short, but it is very likely that something is not connected. There are still some broken traces over here, but they are all going to the processor direct slot. So I don't think I need to repair them just for this initial test. They do need to be repaired, and we possibly will do them today, but we won't be doing them before it gets tested. I made mention the other day of wanting to be able to do continuity tests, or sort of reverse engineering the board when you're checking for continuity. And I have made this. This is a custom probe for my multimeter. There's the little plug, and that plugs into my multimeter. And this is a metal brush, as you can see. That's actually just some 4-gauge wire that I bought here. I bought 1 meter of it for $16.95 for 1 meter. So that's this 4-gauge wire that has all this wire in there. And I've only needed a very small length of it. And I may make more of these because I'm not 100% certain with the design of this anyway. But this is a really, really handy thing if you're wanting to do some continuity testing. And it's more around the reverse engineering of a board. So you've got a little point on here and you go, oh, I wonder where that goes. So what we can do is we can get this, plug him in to my multimeter, and I hope you can hear the beeps. Let's just say I look at, oh, this little guy here, right there. Just got one little metal point on the board there, a little blob of solder. I can take this and I can brush it across the board, and of course I'm getting lots of beeps, so I'm probably connected to a 5-volt rather a ground or something. So that's a bad example. Let's try this one. There we go, this one's. So you can, once you get the approximate area of it, which is around here somewhere, you can then get your normal probe and just bip around all these things until you find the spot. But it's just so easy to cover so much ground on the board using this thing. And of course that's necessary at times to, you know, if you've, it's all very well to have a multimeter, but if you've just got a busted, you know, sort of via in here, and there are no wires coming out from the top, and there are no wires coming out from the bottom, so you know it's a via that connects 2 layers inside the board, and it's busted or something like that. You can get a good board, you can stick the probe onto that, you can then brush around, find out where it goes. Once you've found out where it goes, you can then trace it down on the schematic. Now, one thing I did find on this is that the this schematic is not actually the schematic for this board. This schematic, I'm almost certain, is for the original board, with the one with the socketed chip, because I have found a few differences in it. For instance, there was supposed to be a connection between this guy here and here, and it's not connected. It's actually connected to somewhere else. So that schematic is not accurate. Kate is here. Hello there, Kate. So anyhow, now we have to actually get into this and get some work done. Here are all my leftover pieces of paperclip that I used for repairing my microscope the other day. Well, no, I wasn't repairing, improving. And then I've got this little thing which we'll be using during our testing. So this is fantastic. K-Mac Vintage sent this to me, who I hope he pops on today, may or may not. I will be making a video on this that's more thorough. And this has got the little DB9 connector on the back here. It's actually not. It's a 3D printed thing by the looks of it with just some pins in it, which I think is really nifty because DB19s are really hard to get hold of these days. But anyhow, you can plug this into the floppy port like this, and it will just read out your voltages, your 12 volt and 5. I don't think this one has a minus 12 volt, so you probably only get 12 and 5 on this one. But on the other ones, like the Classics and Plus and that, you get your minus 12 volt rail as well. So you can have that plugged in and do adjustments. And I will be doing that, but I'm going to do that in a video because I want to show just how cool this is. There's only one issue I have with it, and I'll point that out in the video that I do. So let's jump across to the microscope. And let's start off by getting this. This is probably not going to be. Oh, it is right. We'll start off by getting. Oh, look at that smooth adjustment of focus. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's made my day. Right, so I'm going to get this on here. I've gone around and done a little bit of scrapey around these pads to make sure that they're all connecting. I think I'm going to need to stick some goop on here and some solder and clean them all up, because once we've got the component on there, we want to make sure that all of these exposed traces are protected. And if we've got exposed copper, that will corrode in time. So we want to make sure that we've got solder on it. Solder. Now I need some wick. And for some reason, I don't know why, I don't really understand why this happens, but all of my solder wick ends up on the floor eventually. All of it just ends up on the floor. All of my rolls, I reach a point where I have none on the desk, and so then I have to look down and pick them all up off the floor. They're just drawn to it. They're drawn to a life on the floor. Anyone else get that feeling like I should have a fume extractor on? Not a good idea when you have a sore throat. I probably have a sore throat from doing this. Let's be honest. So I'm just using wick here with a bit of solder on it to just do a nice, gentle, light coat on these traces, on these exposed traces, and that will ensure that they're all protected from a tornado. It's very important. Jeez. It's very important when you're doing this this stuff, I think, to take breaks. And I get a little bit wrapped up, in particular when I'm doing a live stream, and I'm like, oh, I want to test it, I want to test it, I want to test it. And then you do find yourself sometimes cutting a few corners. And that is the time when you need to take a break. You need to say, nope, I've done enough work on this today. I'm going to give a day or two, a break, so that I can freshen my brain up and get back the drive and make sure that I do a proper job. Which, are you talking about the little voltage tester thingy that I was talking about? Yes, they can be purchased. The link will be in my description. Unfortunately, I'm not prepared enough to drop a link here into this video. If K-Mac Vintage turns up, he probably will. But I am actually, as I say, making a video on this product, and in that will be the link to buying them. Yeah, so mine came from Sweden, I think. There's one person handling deliveries within northern US, Northern America, but the other, the person in Sweden, I think, is handling international deliveries, I think. Okay, so here is our floating point unit, 68888888882. If anyone's wondering what a float is a number that is not a whole number. So the number 1 is an integer. The number 0.1 is a float. And the floats are also quite a bit bigger. They can actually be larger numbers than integers. So, and this is a chip specifically designed for doing those sorts of calculations. Now, people ask me all the time, you know, is a computer faster having a floating point unit on it? And the answer is, well, it is for certain tasks. Please don't ask me what tasks, but it is for certain tasks. Patrick is here. Hello, Patrick. We are actually going to open up this really cool piece of kit when I do the little review video as well. And look, I tell you what, I've already used it. I've got a couple of Mac Classics here that are just about ready to go back to their owners, or to the owner. It's one owner for the 2 Classics. And I had all sorts of problems with them, but they seem to be running pretty reliably now. But I just fired them up the other day, and I just plugged this on, and one of them's like way over voltage, and the other one's way under. So, well, cool. Let's get it right, as they say in the books. I have managed to move one of my tracer pairs while doing the cleaning, but that's all right. We'll move it right back again. Whenever I'm doing these are PLC chips. When I'm doing these, I always have a look at them from the side after soldering them, because it's very easy to bridge them without realizing it. Okay, see, this is where it helps to actually have someone with an education. Calculating parabolas, anything with a square root, or where you have to calculate velocities, or doing accounting, and probably drawing in vectors. Okay, well look, drawing in vectors, I can certainly test that out. I can get a little bit of Adobe Illustrator happening. We could do some performance tests with Illustrator. God, it can't be any worse than the latest version of Illustrator. What a piece of crap it is. I mean, you know, I love Illustrator, don't get me wrong. I love the software. I've been using it since version 88, actually, is the first one I used. Illustrator 88. And which is, of course, from 1988. Well, not of course, but it is from 1988. And I have just found that I don't know, I guess it's bloat. For the functionality that I use, for what I use Illustrator for, I could probably get away with using a really old version, but I am using an Apple Silicon device, so if I want to run it natively, I've got to run the latest version of Illustrator, and it is just so freaking slow. So Adobe, get your act together. Start doing it properly. I'm just getting my camera sorted out. I mentioned before, I've got all sorts of... this computer is just completely... what would you call it? Kind of... Whoops, that's not it. No, that's not it. That's it. No, that's not it. I want that, and I want that. You've got to be able to see my face. I mean, come on. It's only fair. Okay, so let's go and have a look at this from the side. But yeah, Illustrator latest version, very bloated, very slow. Shouldn't be on extremely powerful hardware, but it is. And I would really like them to sort it out. So these are the pins that are really damaged here, just along here. But they're still making connections, so I think we should be fine. I don't think we'll ever get around to, well, I won't say ever, but we probably won't get around to doing any floating point calculations for a while, because I do believe we're still quite a way away from having this working. But we can still dream. Okay, so I'm going to put the capacitors on that allow us to hear some sound. I mentioned before, I really want to be able to hear sound when I fire this up for the first time, because you never know. It might be trying to tell me something. I did have this situation before when I was working on Javier's board, And I kept on switching it on and trying stuff out and testing with my oscilloscope and blah, 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 blah. And then I put the caps on. And the moment I put the caps on, I got a sad Mac chime. And it's like, it's got a RAM problem. So, yeah. If I'd have just had caps on it to hear the sound right from the word go, I would have diagnosed it much quicker. But, you know, you got to be stupid to learn to be smart, don't you reckon? Oh my goodness, that was a profound thing to say. Right, let's have a look at these caps. I'm just looking at my recapping guide because all of the silk screening's gone, so I've got to make sure I put things in the right place and the right way around. Yeah. Keeps crashing on my M1. Yeah, so I'm using Illustrator on an M2 Max. Is it M2 Max or M2 Pro or something like that? M2 Pro, I think it is. And, you know, it works, but I mean, like, there are times when I go to move images around it, it's like really jerky movement. And it's like, it just should not be like that. It should be silky smooth on a computer like that. I haven't had many crashes, but, you know, maybe later. Okay. So this is all the UV masks that I put on before. Oh, silky smooth focus. Have a go at it. Jay, you happy with the focus? Jay was very upset with the wobbles before. He'd give me grief about the wobbles. He'd be like, your camera is wobbling. It's making me sick. Jay's probably cleaning at the moment. So my calling him to the chat means that he has to put down whatever he's doing and then come back again. Either that or he's not here at all. And if that's the case, then there'll be trouble. Can't nag me to live stream and then not stick around. It's just rude. That's just downright rude. Hello there, Cyberlistics. I think I remember Illustrator having performance issues on the 68K to PPC migration too. Yeah, look, it may well have. I don't remember that well. From memory, I was a pretty late adopter of PPC. So I don't think I ever owned a 601. I might have got a 601 accelerator for an 040 machine, maybe. But I probably didn't really get into PowerPC until probably around about the 603 era, I suppose. Stop distracting me. There you go. See, I knew he'd be doing something. He likes to use my live streams as an excuse to get work done, you see. If I'm not streaming, he watches some of the worst trash out there and then sends me links to it expecting me to watch it. And I'm like, I can't watch this rubbish. Okay. And his excuse then is like, I have no choice because you're not streaming. I do love Adobe Illustrator. I do like working in vectors. I guess probably because it's more mathematical. I don't know. I mean, I like Photoshop as well. I have told this story to the chat before, but maybe it was different people, so I'll tell it again. And if you have heard it before, I apologise. This chip needs to come off, doesn't it? Look at it. Look how bad that is. I used to use retouching software, two different applications. There was one called Letra Studio, and the other one was Color Studio, and they were both made by Letraset. Now, if you've never heard of Letraset, it definitely dates you, because there was a time back in the day, Letraset used to make these little sheets of letters that you could sort of draw onto a piece of paper. So you would buy a great big piece of, it was like a big sheet of paper. It was almost like kind of greaseproof paper type stuff. And they had just loads and loads of letters on there, every letter in the alphabet. And you could buy different fonts and different point sizes. And so you could then get a piece of paper and you'd lay it down and you'd scrap on, sort of like draw on it with a pencil to transfer the letter from that paper onto your piece of paper. And so it was a way of you actually getting like fancy fonts on your own artwork. And I used to use it all the time in the early days because I used to make my own video covers for stuff that I'd taped on TV. So I'd tape stuff on TV, then I'd go and get these big sheets of Letraset, I'd go get a piece of paper and I'd, draw them out and do, have on the spine the name of the movie, and sometimes might put pictures on from the film and, whatever, photocopy them from a book or something like that. So I used to make my own video covers. And so that was what Letraset was famous for. They were famous for these letters that you could buy, big sheets of letters. Ever think about traveling to the USA to go to one of the VCF cons? Yes, I have. The thought has crossed my mind. There are a couple of issues I have, and that is that if I do go to the US, I have family over there, so I will definitely have to go and see them, and they are on the West Coast. So it would all basically come down to the logistics and everything. And then, of course, I've got all my Maciac friends that I would like to go visit as well, and they're all on the East Coast. So it would just be all, there would be logistics issues. And then I also got the situation that if I go over there, my wife is going to want to come, and she's not going to want to do any of that shit. So I don't know. Oh, she will, of course, want to see the family, but she's, and she probably would like to meet the Maciac guys as well. But I can't say that she would be particularly keen on the VCF events. But anyhow, that's I guess the situation I have. Bruce could just stay in my basement. I'll never come out again. Yeah. So anyhow, telling this story about Photoshop, using this software called Letra Studio, which was a black and white image retouching software. So it only did black and white, and so it only worked in shades of grey, 256 shades of grey, and so you could scan things in, you could retouch it, and then and save it as. They actually used the main file format they used, and that was one called RIF, Raster Image File Format, sort of a variant of TIFF. And then there was another one. There was a color version. So there's one called Color Studio, and that one did grayscale and color. A bit of a bigger piece of software, but it was a color retouching software, and that's what we used to use. So that was what we used to use in the studio that I was at. One day, one of our clients comes in with a floppy disk. He says, "Guys, you've got to see this." And we're like, "What?" So he comes in, sets himself up at one of our computers, probably a Macintosh 2 CI. That would be my guess. That's how I remember it anyway. Gets this floppy disk. It's a copy. It's not a genuine thing. Chucks it in there, copies this software off, launches it, goes, "Check this out." And it's Photoshop. Now, I don't remember which version it was. It probably would have been either 1 or 2, somewhere between 1 and 2. It certainly was no more than 2. And he said, this is the business. This is awesome. Check out Photoshop. Look at what it can do. Look how fast it is. Look at all this sort of stuff. And I'm looking at it, I'm going, dude, I can do everything that this software does with Color Studio. There's no market for this software. I'm not excited. I'm not enthralled. I'm not thrilled. You're trying to get me excited and thrilled, but I'm not excited and thrilled because I've got Color Studio, which can do everything you just showed me. Photoshop does. I just don't think this whole Photoshop thing's going to take off. And that is one of my many very, very massive technological prediction fails, because we all know that Photoshop kind of did take off. Fit on a 1.4 megabyte floppy disk, sure did. G-Fix's Quadra. Yeah, so anyhow, and then of course one of the things that Photoshop did, this is another thing that I do mention from time to time, one of the things that Photoshop did that really secured itself in as an industry leader was it gave away its software with scanners. And it was at a time from a technological standpoint. So these days we think nothing of scanners. But back then, scanners used to be expensive, thousands of dollars. And then the technology started changing, got to the point where they were actually able to start producing scanners for hundreds of dollars. And so people were buying scanners left, right and centre. We don't think of it now. These days you just have scanner, probably your printer in your house has got a scanner built in, whatever. It's no big deal. But at the time, scanners becoming affordable was a big thing. And when Photoshop started bundling their software with scanners, there were just a whole stack of people that were buying scanners and then getting this free copy of Photoshop. I'll tell you something else interesting. There was one particular scanner. It was a Microtech, I think. Microtech were big on the old scanning scene back in the day. They had this offer where they were selling the software with not an LE version of Photoshop. That's LE was limited edition, so it was scaled back a bit, didn't do everything. They sold, I think it was Photoshop 6, if I remember rightly. I could be wrong. And they sold this scanner with a full version of Photoshop. And the scanner was cheaper than Photoshop. And the place I worked for bought a whole stack of these scanners. So we ended up having a cupboard full of boxed, never used Microtech scanners that we bought because it was cheaper to do that than to buy Photoshop outright. My boss was very much about doing the right thing from a licensing software perspective. So he made sure that every person was using a full, legitimate, licensed version of the software. Ooh, this looks kind of yucky, doesn't it? Right. I think we're all soldered down here. They don't look super good, but they'll be all right. Have an old beige Apple scanner. Yeah, see, I had an old black and white scanner. I've got a photo of it. I don't even remember what it was. I got given it by someone. He got he upgraded to a colour version and asked if I wanted the old black and white one. And so a lot of what I had back in the day was hand-me-downs. Couldn't afford to buy the stuff myself, so. Yeah, those chips do look rough. Look at them. Look at them up here. Nasty as. Nasty as, brah. I mean, that looks like that could even be a break there. Just here. Oh, that's all right. Scrapey, scrapey, scrapey. That doesn't look good, does it? What about that one? Let's see what the beepity beep me machine has to say about that. Oh, 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 oh. Testing. Where was it? This one here. So, what's that going to there? Down to here. Yep, we got continuity. It's all good. What kind of beepity beep machine might that be? Oh, now this one, I'm afraid, it's not my Kai Wheats at the moment. I need to bring down some fresh batteries for the Kai Wheats. So I'm using my Fluke at the moment. So yeah, that's the kind of, that's it at the moment. So I'm not sure if I can actually flog my Kai Wheats one when I'm not even using it at the moment. I love my Kai Wheats, don't get me wrong, but as I say, I come down here for the live streams or I come down here to work and I just go, oh, batteries. But my ass is parked. I don't move. Right, so I'm just going to clean these up because I'm going to put a cap on top. Thank you, Enzo. There are links in the description if you're interested in Kai Wheats. I do like the Kai Wheats multimeter very much, and it is extraordinarily inexpensive. In this country, if you want to buy a Fluke locally, about the cheapest one you're going to get is probably over $200. But the old Kai Wheats, less than $50. How good's that? Yeah, good is it? Okay, so I think we can put a cap down there now. This is the big actual cap that we're putting down. So anyhow, look, just finishing up on what I was saying about Adobe and their sort of, I guess, business acumen. I don't think anyone can doubt that they just got complete sort of, I guess, market penetration when it came to Photoshop. And of course, it got to the point where people stopped saying, well, I had people stop saying retouching and they started saying photoshopping. And that's pretty impressive that, oh, you know, the word exists, retouching. I still use it. I still say retouch. But most people say Photoshop. Oh, that's been photoshopped. And that's pretty impressive when you consider that people were retouching a lot longer than Photoshop's been around. I used to do work for, I used to do sort of like tech support, and there was this guy that I knew, and he was working for a company doing retouching, and they were retouching using this big fancy Kodak rig. Just amazing thing, huge, big piece of hardware and stuff, and it allowed you to do all sorts of things. And I remember him saying to me that the big thing, one of the main reasons why they didn't use Photoshop is because it didn't have non-destructive layers. And so what that means is, if you have a layer, and let's just say I decide I want to brighten it, I go in and I get my brightening curve and I brighten it, and then that has been applied. And if I brighten it to the point where there was detail in the highlights and that detail is now white, it's lost. If I decide to undo that, it's too late. The detail's gone. If I go to lower, de-brighten it, darken it, if I go to darken it afterwards, I'm never going to get that detail back because I've lost it. Non-destructive layers allow you to do things like brightening things without actually fully applying it to the layer. You see the end result, but it's not locked in. And so you can make a change later on. If you decide, no, that's too bright, I need to darken it now, that detail's still there. It hasn't been lost because it's as I say, it's a non-destructive layer. And that was this thing that he was saying. It was like that was the biggest thing, the main reason why he didn't like Photoshop over these, specifically made units that cost thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. But of course, Photoshop now does have non-destructive layers. And I remember the day that guy who worked at that company, when they ended up just ditching this great big piece of Kodak hardware and just setting them up with fast computers running Photoshop. And that was that was it. That was the day that, certainly for that company, where they decided Photoshop was a better option. So I need a couple of caps here. I need a 470/16 and a 220/16. I'm going to stick on a 470/25, and I think I've got a 220/16. Oh my goodness gracious, me gracious. Is that? Please tell me that's more of those. 10 microfarad. This is my last 220. I'm going to have to buy some more 220s. Stat! A few versions of Photoshop even had multiple undo feature. Yeah. Aoife Rain, hello there. Welcome. See, I remembered. I think I remembered. I really don't like getting people's pronunciations of names wrong. I mean, sure, there's that whole Australian accent thing, that's fine. Like when I say blueberry, strawberry, raspberry. That's fine. I don't mind. I don't mind if I'm saying it a bit wonky because I'm an Australian. But I don't want to get people's names too wrong. And everyone accepts words are going to get fairly massacred when they come out of an Australian's mouth. Solder versus solder. Yes, as I said in my soldering video, I think there's an argument to be made for both pronunciations. So say it however you want. As long as we all know what we're talking about, that's the main thing. It will forever be solder to me. But I don't mind if other people say solder. capacitor. My little wires on the back have kind of come unstuck when I've been doing ultrasonic cleaning, so I have to be fairly gentle, and I'll need to stick them down again. I'm going to put that big cap. Oh, here it is, right in front of me. Call off the search party. It's right here. So, can anyone give me a rational argument as to why electrolytic capacitors have a label on the negative side, and yet all of the screen printing on the boards have a label for the positive side? Tell me that. Tell me that. Aluminium without the mysterious extra I. Aluminium. 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 It will forever be aluminium for me. Right, so we are, I think, dangerously close to testing this thing. So, you know, strap yourselves in, people. Righty. I do like this new microscope stand. As I've said before, I have to use my own microscope head because I've got, I need the trinocular attachment, but I do love the neck on that thing. I love moving around now that I've sorted out the what do you call that, the focusing. The only other issue I have with it is the little lock nut that holds its height tends to slip down, so I need to try and find some way of making that stay up better. I'll figure something out. Speaking of passive, do you have any tips or reputable places in the US for buying them? I've mostly been getting kits from Console 5, but need a whole bunch for an iMac G5. Bless you for taking on the iMac G5. I've got 2 of them in the boot of my car. In the trunk of my car. And I'm planning to recap them, but yeah, that's a lot of caps you need to buy. Worth more than the computer, that's for sure. Yeah, so look, I tend to get mine from DigiKey. They're really good in terms of delivery times to me here in Australia. So if I am ordering them from DigiKey, even if they're coming from overseas, I've had times where I've ordered on the Friday and they've been delivered to me on the Monday. So it really only takes 2 or 3 days for them to arrive, and for an international delivery, that's pretty darn good. And of course, with DigiKey, if I spend, I think it's over $50 or something like that, the delivery is free. So DigiKey have my vote, but I've used Mouser as well, but I just prefer DigiKey. And the latest image. Yeah, it's interesting, Jay mentioning Renfield there. I was looking at the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes just today, and they were pretty lukewarm about Renfield. I am interested to see it because I like Nicolas Cage. I think he can be a bit of a bizarre sort of person. He was in a movie very early in his career where he thought he was a vampire. And of course, I like Holt. What's that guy's name? I can't remember the guy's name who's playing the part of Renfield. Nicholas Holt, does that sound right? He's good too. Yeah, I am interested. I definitely will watch it. So, okay, what we've got here, what we've got happening, I've had to replace a whole lot of components down here. There's my real-time clock there. I've got my new oscillator here. I've done all sorts of trace repairs all over the place, everywhere. I'm still not happy with the way things are around here. I took this chip off, cleaned around it and put it back again. This one wasn't too bad, but there's still a lot of nastiness around here, and I probably have to do more cleaning around there. We still have some broken traces around here, but they're going to the processor RIC slot. I'm hoping they won't impact on the operation of the computer. We've got it's all recapped, so it's all using new caps now, but of course it is a real mess. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test it out, and we will also test this out to see if we're getting voltage coming through. I don't have my extender cable. Well, I do have my extender cable, but it doesn't seem to work. Probably because I melted it. I need to buy another one. So I'll have to hook this up in a fairly precarious fashion. Hello. How are you today? There we go. Right. Oh crap, I need to put some RAM in it first, don't I? Ooh. Yes. No. Right. So, got a ROM. I've got a big mess of wires ROM here. Where did that come from? I've got a big mess of wires ROM here. One of the things I've done with this is I've put little lumps of solder, little blobs of solder on all the pins. Just means it fits in a little bit more snug. It's always a bit of an issue with the ROM being snug in the SE30. This is an SE30 that has the... Oh, that is snug. Oh, show us your snug. Okay, so this is one that has the metal pins for this slot, which is great. I love that. But still plastic ones for the 30-pin sim. So, hello, Jeff Bernard. Hello, Martin G. Yay, daylight savings has ended. Yeah, I mean, it has ended here. I'm not happy about it. Days are getting really short here. I'm not thrilled about it. Daylight savings is always that reminder that it's about to get cold, or the days are going to get shorter. It's yuck. It is yuck. Anyhow, but that's my opinion. I know there are a lot of people out there that feel otherwise, but I like the warmer parts of the year, probably because I was raised here in Sydney. Now, I don't want to use this RAM because that pisses me off. It's really hard to get into the slots. So I'm going to use this one, and then I'm going to go to my little RAM stock and grab some more. RAM stock. Isn't that heavy metal band? Okay, just a second. I'm going to the RAM stock. I will... you'll be able to hear me, but you won't be able to see me. But you can imagine what I look like. How about that? Oops. Yeah, let's have a look in here. Oh, there's 16 megabyte sims. That's pretty cool. Won't grab those. Just want some ones. That looks like a 1. 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 And absolutely none of them match. Here we go. That one matches this one. That one and that one. There we go. We'll take that. Okay, squeezing my way through here. Excuse me. So, if we don't have RAM in this, we will get a sad Mac chime. So, I figured I'd put some RAM in it, even though that's really optimistic of me. So, as I mentioned before, this has about a, 1% chance of working. 2 maybe. If I'm feeling really optimistic. Let's just basically say it's not going to work. So I'm going to plug my power in here. Bing, like that. We're going to get our new little tool thingamy who's a watch thing. I'm going to plug that on there. Let's see if we've got a side view here. RAM stock down in the basement, yep. Dig a hole in the ground. Side view. That's not a side view. That's a side view. There we go. So, you can almost see everything in that. It'll do. And I need to add me to there. Because you got to, again, I said you've got to see me. It's important. You can't just be listening to a voice without a face. That'll, who knows what would happen. That's there, that's there. I need a speaker. Watch that CRT neck. It's fine. But thank you. Where am I? It's actually leaning up against the fan, so it's safe. I'm looking for a speaker, and I had one here. I mean, I've got a couple, but they tend to go missing. I find them from their wires. The wires, see? There we go, wires. I recognise what the wires look like. So this is a speaker out of a, I don't know, something. And it's shot. I mean, it's terrible. Oh, wow, look at that. We're focused on a spider's web. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Spider's web gone. Hey, there we go. So this speaker here is completely shot. I mean, this is... It still makes noise though. All right, so going to connect up the speaker. Once again, this is just the height of optimism because we know it ain't going to work. We've got our little speaker sitting there. I've got some volts here. These are Australian volts, best volts in the world. Okay. Oh, the neck board doesn't appear to be plugged in. It's a little wobbly, but it's there. It's on. It's good. We're fine. Thank you. How are you? Right. Okay, so we're plugged in. We've got 4 megabytes of RAM sitting in bank A. We've got the big mess of wires ROM sitting in the ROM slot. We've got all the caps recapped. We've done a whole stack of trace repairs. We've replaced components. We've done all sorts of stuff. This is our very first test to see what happens. Totally expecting it to not work. I'll turn off the fume extractor so we can hear it clearly. And are we all ready? Is everyone good? Gut bomb, hello there. You turned up just at the right time. And Johnny Death. I just looked over a used video card I've had for a few years. I hope it worked out well. So are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Whoa, we've got some interesting stuff going on here. Okay, so we're pulsing. You can't actually see it, but we're pulsing voltage here at the moment. So that means there's a short on here somewhere. So I don't know where the short is, but there is a short on here somewhere. Because it's popping. I'll just, I don't know if you can hear that. But that is typical of a short circuit, because what happens is it tries to hit the volts, it tests it, realizes there's a short, cuts it off, and then it starts again. It just gets stuck in a loop. So we have a short here somewhere. So we've now got to track that down. That's going to be fun. Probably one of the caps that I put on because of all of the trace repairs around those caps. But that's what we'll do next. I never said there wasn't going to be a part 5. Righty. So the first thing we're going to do here is we will just get onto our top view and we'll get the multimeter here and we will do some testies. There we go. So let's just check and make sure that we're not shorting any of these caps together. Nope. Cool. Okay, I've got a short there, but that might meant to be should maybe be that way. Oh. Okay, so look at that, 580 ohms. No, you can't see it. You can't see shit. 580 ohms there. Let's just try this one. Yeah, 580. Over here. There we go. So there's our short. What about here? Here as well. Okay, so we've got a short here, and we just got to find out where that's coming from. There are a couple of ways of finding out where a short's coming from, and that is you can inject voltage in there, and then you can use a thermal camera to see what's getting warm. I'm not sure I want to do that. Let's just check up here while we're at it. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. Looks like we've got a short there as well. Let's check that. Yep, all right. Okay, so I think they're all tied together. This one, and this one. We've definitely got a short there. Now we just have to see if we can locate it, and that's going to be the fun part. So let's get at it. Fleur. I'm actually going to be doing, it's not here yet, but I've got on the way a thermal camera that I'm doing a review for. So I'll be doing that fairly soon. I'm actually quite looking forward to it, and I'll tell you why. It's a freestanding unit. It's a freestanding unit with the screen and the thermal camera all built into it. It's got a USB thing so you can record photos and stuff onto the card, and you can USB it to your computer if you want to. But it just works as an independent thing with quite a high-powered lithium battery on it. The FLIR that I have has what I refer to as the Hummingbird battery in it, and you get like minutes of use out of it before the battery's flat. And admittedly, I've had it for a while, and that battery's probably not in peak condition anymore. But it is something that I find extremely frustrating, especially when you're connecting it to a phone, which has battery in it. I just wish they'd made it so that it got its power from the frickin' phone rather than its own independent battery. Jeremy's here, hello there. Is it related to broken traces by the PDS slot? I would think that would have the opposite effect. What I think is probably the most likely cause is that I put some UV mask down, I put these caps on top of the UV mask. I'm guessing that after being in the ultrasonic cleaner 3 times, some of that mask may have washed away, and that's ended up causing the short. So we'll have a look with the microscope and just see what we will see. It is also possible that I've done a trace repair somewhere and ended up touching something. What the frick is that? I never like seeing little bits of stray wire on the board, which is exactly what we have here. Now that one I don't think would cause a short. I didn't think it was actually making contact, but we will check anyway. And I'll have a look and see if there are any other bits of stray wire on there. So irresponsible. Yep, okay, it was still there. All right, so we'll get, did I check this one? I can't remember. That one's there too. Okay, let's check. This is short all over this. Yep. So it's all the same. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's all part of the same circuit. I can tell it's all part of the same circuit because I'm getting the same, what do you call it? The same reading here of continuity, and I'm getting the same reading over on the good board. They're all the same. So I'm getting around about 500 ohms on the good board. I'm getting, sort of 0 ohms on this crappy board. Don't send me a message. I'm going to have to read it. Messages. Ooh. Yes, sorry. Steve was making a little bit of a joke. I like jokes. I happen to know that Steve is working on a video at the moment. I know that he has some obligations to fulfill to get that. And I think I just disconnected my camera again. Get that unstuffed. I need to, because I pulled this apart the other day. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, so hang on. Sit tight, everyone. I'll do this properly. I will do this properly at some stage, but for the moment this will do. There we go. All right. So this is what I'm talking about here, where we've got an opportunity potentially for a bridge from like here to one of these traces here. Now this one looks okay. Looks like we've still got a decent amount of UV mask here, and I don't believe these pads are touching this metal wire here. So I think we're safe there for a short, but we're shorting between those two things there. Vion down here, this one's a real mess. So got that there. So this is all connected there. It's just a question of whether that's making, oh God, look at it. Let's try it now. still stuffed. I'm not sure that that is the cause, this one here. Oh crap, I'm stuffing it. This is going to need so much sorting out later on, don't you reckon? Let me get some more solder on this. Thicken it up. Soldering iron went cold. Look at that, it's just a little bit of modern art. Right, so that one there looks like potentially okay. What about this one here? I don't think there would be any contact being made under that, so I think that's okay. And then this guy here, we've definitely got it happening over here. Possibly here. I mean, I did all that soldery work here. Or possibly up here. No, actually, these were all okay, weren't they? Had no issues with those. Yeah, that one's part of it as well. So, what do we do here? What do we do? So we know we've got a bridge here. Oh, well, the first thing we should do is figure out what we're bridging between, shouldn't we? So I'm just going to get out the schematic. Greg Brady is here. Is it fixed yet? No, it's not. But we did test it, and we have a short somewhere. And now we have to locate that short. Yeah. Because it could be something to do with the wires on the back too, couldn't it? Hadn't thought of that. They're a little bit iffy. Ooh, I don't know what is that. Let's do something about this little mess here. Even though there is a coating on this wire, and I'm pretty sure that's not an issue, I'm still going to make this look a little nicer. Paintbrush. It's here. I was using it recently. I saw it today. There it is. Yes, PDF slot is like saying ATM machine, but we all do it anyway. I tend not to say ATM machine, but I sure do say PDF slot. So we just got to be sure that some of these, I really do need to tidy up these repairs on the back. So we'll just talk amongst ourselves while I get that sorted. So we just got to eliminate the possible cause. And as I say, if worst comes to the worst, I will inject some voltage. I've got to go into the schematic and find out exactly what the two things of bridging are, what rails they are, because it's not happening on all the caps, it's only happening on some of them. So I need to find out. Filters in the ADB ports, yeah. So here's the thing. I have a confession to make. It's coming out now. I did actually plug this board in during the week. I think I did it yesterday or 2 days ago or something like and I didn't get a short. So what I can tell you is I know it's something that has happened in the last couple of days. And I'm kind of glad that this is the case, because if I had not have tested it, I'd done that sneaky little test while you weren't watching. If I had not have done that, it could be anything. But thankfully, I know it's not anything. So K-Mac is here. Hello there. We're testing out your little thing today. This isn't the actual video I'm going to do. I'm going to do a proper video of it, but we are testing it out. Now, can I just say something very, very quickly? When it comes to this, there is only one, and it's a very minor thing about it that I would personally, if I'd have made this, would have done differently. The orientation of these little readouts suggests that you would be looking over the top of the computer, over like that. But when I'm doing diagnostic work, I'm typically at the back of the computer. And so for me, if I was to make this, I would actually orient these 180 degrees around the other way, so that where the connector is, that's the top and that's the bottom, rather than that way around. Just wanted to mention that. It may not be how you think it should be, and that's fine. But if I was to be making it for myself, that is how I would make it. So I just wanted to mention that. Do anything or nothing with that information, and I will not be offended either way. Shady Robot, hello there. Check for a bridge between a cap and all of the vias and trace repairs nearby. Yes, I should be doing that. It's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. I mean, the main thing I'm doing here right now is to just check all of these trace repairs that I did, or these sort of wires that I did on the back that ended up snaking their way around the board. I just want to make sure that when they came unstuck, that they don't, they don't accidentally touch something they shouldn't. Can change them when built. You can open up and flip them around, just 2 nylon screws holding the display in. Well, let's do it now. Come on. You've just made my day. Please feel free to put a link in the description for buying these K-Mac. Someone did ask, and I actually said to them, look, I won't be putting the link in this video. It will be in my video when I actually review the product, which is coming very soon. But seeing as you're here and you have access to the link, please feel free to put the link in. I think you were saying that... How cool is that? See, it'll measure voltage from the ADB as well, which I love. K-Mac vintage. Yeah. This is so cool. And so, because of how incredibly unavailable the DB19 connectors are, I love what you have done here. You've just 3D printed. Is that just a 3D print surround, and then you've just used pins inside? I mean, that's, to me, is just genius. I'm so glad there are smart people out there. Makes me feel pretty bad about myself, but let's see if we can do this. Spin it around. Go on, wire. We'll find somewhere for you to go. You can hang out for the moment. We'll feed that in under there, hey? We can do this. I'm determined not to break this, okay? I want you to know that straight off the bat. Not so you can daisy chain it to a floppy drive. Cool. It's one of the things that I've often found in my life. Every time I come up with a good idea, someone's already come up with it and usually done it better. This is an idea I had, making one of these. So there's no controller or anything here. These are just readouts. Is that right? Oh yeah. Bruce is now a happy chap. Each has it all built in. That's so cool. If you're wanting to know which way around they are, you can tell from the little dots, the little decimal points. Bruce is now a happy chap. Making things the way he wants. I've got a terribly sore throat at the moment, not really sure why. I've probably got something. It is that time of year around here where it's getting cold and everyone's disease ridden. And you get, you get sore throats and flus and colds and things. Look at it. There it is. I've done it. All my doing. Bruce is now a happy chap. This is now my happy song. Non-AliExpress $102.50 each. Yours came with a remote extension cable. It did. Can you explain that remote extension cable to me a little bit more? What I know you did mention in the email, but I'm just curious. So I understand, obviously, if I plug in an ADB port in here, I can. This will measure the voltage of the ADB port coming from that computer. So the other cable has an ADB connector on it, and then there are some wires on there. And just explain to me, if you wouldn't mind, the scenario of when I would be using that. Just curious. Okay. Right. There we go. Hey, I'm really looking forward to that. So let's keep going with this and we'll just see if we've got any accidentally created shorts with these wires here. And that one there has exposed wire, but I don't think it's making a contact with anything. Just going to trim this just in case. So what happened when I tested? Jay asked me that before and I didn't answer him. I wasn't deliberately being rude, I was just distracted. What happened when I tested it? So, I'll tell you what happened when I tested it. I had no sound because I had nothing rigged up to the speakers, okay? So, I don't know if it gave me a SADMAC chime or anything. No sound at all. But I did get a checkerboard on the screen. A pretty rough checkerboard, but it was a checkerboard nonetheless. And it was sort of a little bit asymmetrical in places, but. So that's what happened when I tested it. But I did not get a short. So I know that the short has occurred with stuff that I have done recently. 5, yep, that's cool. Oops, I'm not on scope view because I'm an idiot. See how smooth that was, Jay? That's smooth focus. How smooth is it? S, smooth, with a capital smooth. Do not plug that mini DIN into an AD port. Okay, cool. The loose ends need to go into the DB19 port. Pin should be marked. Okay, so no, do not plug that mini DIN into AD port. It's not for that. Okay, so you just confused me by using like the S video plug. That's all good. Right, so I see what you're saying now. So you can use it as the plug straight in, or you can use those cables to plug it in remotely. So that all makes sense to me now. That's all good. That all makes perfect sense to me. I will make sure that I will say the right information in the video. So I'm glad I did double check that with you. Come on, you. Didn't know you will be jumping until the break of dawn. But nobody ever told you that you will be jumping until the break of dawn. Oh, crap, 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 crap. Crappity, 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 crap. See, these wires are bent with all my faffing around. Now, I need my other tweezers. These tweezers are kind of okay, but they're not perfect. They don't quite meet in the middle. Can I fix that? Oh God, this is so frustrating. Yep, no, I like it. No, it all makes perfect sense to me now, K-Mac. That is perfectly good. Everything is logical. Everything you are saying here is perfectly logical. So we're in a good place. I am very, very fond of it as a device. And of course, the main reason why I'm fond of it as a device is because it's an idea I had as well. You came up with it before I did, and you made it better than I would have. But it's still an idea I came up with, all by myself. I just came up with it way later than you did. And you saved me a hell of a lot of trouble having to make it myself. Axlab, hello. SE30 Part 4, The Awakening. What about The Quickening? How about that? That was Part 2 though, wasn't it? Something like that. Remember Highlander 2? What a piece of shit that was. If you like Highlander the movie and you like the series and, you know, just pretend like Highlander 2 never got made. Hot Snot would be good right about now. Yeah, probably. I feel like this isn't as bright as it usually is. Oh, what's happening? It's And let's do, I know why. I've got a current limitation on this at the moment. Yeah. It's probably going to be fine now. Yeah. Oh, look how much brighter it is. Far out. I was working on something recently and I put a massive current limitation on the bench power supply. So when this fired up, it was just only spitting out a tiny bit of amperage. And now it's bright and nice and everything's fine and dandy and well pieces just around the corner. AC30 does not have minus 12 volt coming out from the floppy board. Yes, thank you very much, Kamak. I knew that. But it's very nice to have those sorts of things reminded so that when you plug it in and you go, hey, there's only two, why isn't there a third one? And I know it's for that. So that one, the minus 12 volt, which we would see on an original Macintosh, we would see it on a 512K Plus, Classic 2. What else would we see it on? Would we see it on some of the later ones, like a 2CI and stuff like that? Or a Mac 2 or a 2X or something? Don't know. Rudy is here. Hello there, Rudy. Got a little bit of sun out today. It would actually be quite good to be doing this with sun. Okay, so anyone who is joining now, we have tested this, and what we got was a a short to ground, and we have to find out where that short to ground is coming from. Now, I did mention that I'm a naughty, sneaky person, and I did actually do a little test on this during the week. And during that test, I did not get a short to ground. It didn't work, but I got a short to ground. I did not get a short to ground. So the short to ground is something that has happened recently. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm just kind of ruling out whether it's one of these wires on the back, which has ended up coming free. What else? Excuse me. Okay, so I think that's enough. That should be enough to at least just keep them in here for the moment. And what else? I'll just check now. I've got an overlap here, but I don't believe we're going to have any problems there. And apart from everything else, they're just data lines, I think. So let's just have a look here. That's fine. They're not touching. That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So some of the things that I did, I redid this connector. So this is obviously your main power and everything like that. Let's see if we can find where the short is. So, oh geez, it'd be good if I had a diagram of this connector, wouldn't it? But I don't. All right, anyhow, we'll sort it out. So let's get the schematic and we will just go to the top view here. Now, we are likely to see all of this in one place. So let me see if I can find some caps here. So see if I can find So I need, when I'm looking here for the logo of a capacitor, and I need to find the logo of a capacitor that is a polar capacitor. So it has a plus and a minus. See, these ones here, oh, you can't see. These ones are non-polar. They've just got two flat lines. The polar ones have a flat line and a curved line. And so we've got to find those. So there's one there. There's C2. That's up here somewhere. We're okay with that. So C13 is one that's on the shorted rail. So is whatever the frick that is. I can't see because the screen printing is gone. So let's have a look. And C11 is definitely on there as well. So let's just have a look. 2, C11, C10, power and video connector. All right, so at least we know what they are now. So negatives 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 6 is -5. 7 is -12. 9 is video out. 10 is H-sync out. 11 is vertical sync. 12 and 13 are 5 volt. 14 is 12 volt. So let's have a look here, shall we? And we'll see if we can find the short from this main power connector. Got to turn on them notifications, absolutely, John. That's very important. Francois, hello. Yes, well, I did discuss that earlier on, that I can just sort of inject some voltage and see. But the first thing I need to do is find out what rail it's on so I know how much voltage to inject. We may end up doing that, but we'll see. Right, so we've got 1. That's 1 there. So 1 is a negative, so I'm going to shove that in there because that'll test my ground, I suppose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8. So 6 is -5 volts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No short. 7. No short. 8. It should be ground as well. 9. No, that's all video. 9, 10, 11 is video. Okay, there we go. There's our short. Not 12, but we've got a short on the 12 and 13. It's on the 5 volt rail. There, definitely on the 5 volt rail. So, where did you find that nice schematic? CS Waffy, you will find this one. If you do a little bit of a Google search and you search for SE30 schematic, you'll find a GitHub page. And this is recreated during quiet times of COVID by our good friend Elemento, who appears in the chat quite regularly. And so he basically redrew this from an Apple schematic, which is the SE30 one. I don't know how it got out, but it got out at some stage. And there is a photocopy of an original Apple schematic. And he took that photocopy and he went and redrew this whole thing. And it's beautiful, absolutely magnificent. So, and I thank him all the time. It makes working on an SE30 so much more enjoyable. Right, so we know that we've definitely got a short on the 5 volt rail. And let's just go in and see if we can find a few things here. So different ways that we can potentially do this. What I can do is I can get 5 volts and I can send 5 volts down here. I can get my heat camera and we can see if we can find something getting hot. Now, this is actually something which I have done before and been very successful with. So I'm happy to give it a try if my stupid freaking FLIR camera has batteries charged, which it often doesn't. Because if you don't have the thermal camera, you've got to wander around the thing, touching it with your hands, seeing if it's getting hot, and you know, you can do it. But now I did charge this the other day. We'll see how long it lasts for. Switching on the little red light. Then it starts blinking green. That's good. Then I go to the FLIR 1 software. FLIR 1. Plug it in. Not now. And it tells me, hey, plug it in. And so I say, I have plugged it in. And it's saying, oh, okay, I see you've plugged it in. Now it's saying, in approximately 20 seconds, we'll be good to go. Okay, so there we go. We've now got the heating checking there. So what we hope to do with this is we'll send it 5 volts, but we'll send it with a relatively low current. Yeah, we'll just see what ends up happening. If you're looking here and you're seeing a bright spot, that is actually just because it's metal, it's just reflecting the light, so it comes up looking like it's hot. All right, so oh, Sean is here. Hello there, Sean. How you be? We're about to do something kind of fun here. We're going to send some volts into a short to ground and see if anything gets hot. So I'm going to set my voltage to 5. There we go. And then I'm going to set my current. I'm going to massively limit it. So what that really means is that it can't send too much through when it's got the short. So I've got it to 0.2 amps at the moment. And we can twiddle with that if it's not getting hot. So we go here to yup, and yup. And then what were we saying? Negative was pin 1. So let's connect that up if that's, is it going to stay? It's not going to stay, is it? We're probably better off with just normal probes. So we won't use these fancy probes. Actually, that'd work. Yeah. Anyhow, let's just steal some probes. I'm going to steal some probes. Jumper cables. All right, so I'm going to take the probes from my Kaiweets KM601. I'll switch this off. We're going to pop that into negative, like that, negative territory. And then we need to find a 5 volt, and that is pins 12 and 13. So 14, 13, there we go, 12. So if anyone thinks this is a bad idea, now's the time to say it. Oh, that's a bit flimsy. Let's just unflimsy it. There we go, that'll be better. Much less flimsy. All right, get some fleur. Here we go. All ready to go. And I think it's going to be stuff happening down at the southern end of the board. And right, so powering him up. Okay, it's already showing me that it is at its limit, its current limit, which I've set at 200. And then we just got to look around here to see if we're getting anything hot. Just remember that some things actually shine, and they're shining because they're metal and they're actually reflecting the UV light. Okay, well we can definitely see, whoa, there's definitely some heat there. Oh no, that's the shiny thing. Oh no, is that hot? No. Might have to ramp it up a little bit. Let's have a look on the other side of the board. Yep. Okay, so let's now ramp up the amp, shall we? Anyone tell me if they see smoke, all right? Hello, HB Full Teddy Bear, and ALX Lab. I am just sort of in concentration here at the moment. So what we're doing is we are gradually, okay, I'm putting in 1 amp now. Oh, we're starting to get fans. So we've got power going somewhere. And what we're hoping to find is something getting hot. And whatever's getting hot will be what's creating the short to ground. No smoke. nothing really getting hot here, is there? Which suggests to me the short is probably right up the top here somewhere. Or something, I don't know. All right, so we don't actually want to destroy anything. So I don't want to throw too much more current at it. So what we were going to have to do now under these circumstances, where we're really not getting anywhere with that, nothing's getting hot, nothing at all. So it's not, it's not a busted component, I suppose. So what we will have to do is this is the whole 5-volt rail, right? So we have got to see if we can figure out where along the line this is happening. So 5 volts here, 5 volts everywhere, so it's a little bit hard. So I'm going to have to probably take some components off to start off with, components on the 5-volt rail. I'm just going to look here. This is something that I've done recently. So we just see that I haven't. Yeah. So I put this component on recently. We just want to check and make sure that I didn't accidentally create a short somewhere here. Because it is very easy to do, especially when we have so many exposed traces. Excuse me, just burped. It came out unexpected. Just came out of nowhere. Just didn't know it was even coming. Mm-hmm. 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 What else did I do? Just got to look over the work that I did most recently. And it might be something really glaringly obvious. I mean, it might be a great big solder ball stuffed in somewhere. It could be a piece of wire on the board like this. Right, I want to try something here. I want to try something. So 5 volts, 13, so we know we're, yep, cool. Let's try something. I really don't like the way the caps are set up here, so I'm just going to check and make sure that none of these, oh shush. Okay, now that is capacitor, you know, because the way this is perched up here, this could easily be creating a short. So let's just find out which capacitor that is. Whose birthday is it? What happens if the RAM-ROM is removed? Does it still click? Didn't try. Oh, well, the ROM's not in at the moment, and we're still getting the 5 volt there. So C5 is what I'm looking for. I want to see what C5 does. So I'm going to just have a look on the schematic here. This is almost definitely part of the sound. So sound, video, swim, serial and sound. Let's have a look at C5. C3, C5. Okay, C5 looks like it does go to 5 volts. Just check that because the diagram for 5 volts is it's an open triangle. There it is. Oh no, well actually no, is it? No, it's not. It's for ground. It should be going to ground. Okay, let's just take this cap off and see if it clears the short. Well, this is what we're going to probably end up having to do with this. We'll probably end up just having to take components off a bit at a time until we find the one. Monday, May 8th. Today is, in this part of the world, right now, it's 4th of May, so it's May the 4th be with you. And then isn't tomorrow Cinco de Mayo? All right, let's just see. Probably still got a short to ground, but we'll just check. Got to check. So we put one here on the negative. Oopsie. No, hang on. Am I? No, hang on. No. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. Okay, all right. Yep. Okay. It's fine. That one was fine. It's no issue. So that was ground, but of course there's a short on ground. So that's why it was reading because there's a short there. So everyone's fine. Everyone's fine. I'm going to put a new one on because I don't like those brown ones. Currently ripping CDs on a Mac Pro. A Studio and a MacBook Pro. There's about 100 of these suckers. There you go. That's illegal, sir. That's illegal. You're ripping CDs. Police are on their way now. I remember I had to do I did a job for a client where they were asking me to make a couple of hundred burned DVDs. I cut together a video for them, and then it was for an event, and so I said, oh, can we have a couple of hundred of them? And he was like, yeah, sure. So I actually just went out and bought a whole stack of external drives, and then just got them set up on lots of different computers around the house, and just had a burn-a-thon. Okay, that's all. And thankfully the burners were pretty cheap, so. All right, so we achieved nothing there with that, but that's okay. That's what we do here. We achieve nothing. So this is a component that I think I removed and put back on, so let's see if we can find a short on this somewhere. Oh crap, does anyone see that? Hang on, just gotta move that down a bit, then move that up a bit. Anyone see that? No, you don't, because the microscope's not giving me any image. This is this constant problem that I'm having. Constantly. All right, there we go. That's a short. That is a bridge. That is my handiwork. So I just want to say to everyone out there who might be thinking, hey, Bruce, your soldering's pretty cool. Just remember, I just did that. All right, let's check the rest of that component because it just simply cannot be trusted now. This is the worst part here. There's all sorts of wires and things here. Up. All right. Oh, well, let's see if the short's gone. Boop, 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 boop. Short has not gone. So 2 problems. Let's get rid of that cap. Oh, hang on. Oh, multimeter switched off. It just does that to toy with you. Yes, okay, so that is it's called a FLIR 1, F-L-I-R-O-N-E, FLIR 1, that's the device that I'm using, this is it here, FLIR 1. So I'll just change views here so you can see, FLIR 1, that's it there. They come in both USB-C and Lightning, so this is obviously Lightning for my iPhone, and you just basically download the software and you run them. They have 2 cameras on there. One is a thermal camera and the other one is a visual camera, and then it essentially overlays the 2, so you have a transparency of the visual and the thermal. Because the thermal camera itself is incredibly low resolution. It's like 20 by 20 pixels or something like that. And then you have the visual on top, and it just sort of kind of blurs it so you get a heat blob. It's charged by USB-C, has its own battery inside. This is an older model, there are newer ones out now. The only complaint I have about this is because it has its own battery in it, it runs flat quite quickly because the battery in it is tiny. And it would just be so much better if this just drew its power from the phone, because my phone's always charged. That would make me much happier if it did that. So it's good. I am doing a review of a thermal camera coming up soon. That camera is on its way to me, so that will be coming soon. The next review that I will be doing is on a 3D printer. It is a Creality Ender 5S1. I've got a little bit of work to do to get ready for that, but that's a review that's coming soon. So be on the lookout for that. For all you 3D printer fiends, if you like your 3D printering, I'm going to look at this one again. I know I just looked at it, but I'm going to look at it again. Oh, there goes my stomach again. I've been doing so much stuff on this computer lately, on this board, that I really do need to look all over for shorts. Because there could literally just be a piece of wire or a piece of metal just nestled somewhere. So we'll just keep looking. And then the next step will be to remove some of these components that are on the shorted rail and see if the short stops when we remove them. What's with all this goop? Brush. The Seek thermal compact is about 200 to 250 Yeah, so the Seek is obviously the one that Jay uses, and it draws the power from the phone, which I think is just a much better way to do it. I think the Fleur think that their way is better. I don't know, but it ain't. The Fleur has a reputation. Fleur is a very well-known brand for thermal imaging, but it's not these guys. Sure, it's not with these guys. Yeah, look, thermal cameras aren't cheap. There's no two ways about it. Even the cheap ones are expensive, and the expensive ones are more expensive. So if you want one, just be prepared for that. But they're very useful because you don't necessarily just use them for electronics. I mean, you can use them for finding insulation issues in your home. You can use them for finding leaks and things like that, because you can find the cool stuff, all the cool stuff or the hot stuff. If it happens to be summer and you're using air conditioning, you can you can go outside and check and see if you've got any of that cool air leaking out. Very nifty. All right. So what did we establish? So 5 volt to ground. This guy here, I don't like. I don't think it's the problem, but I just don't like it. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? The one thing I will do here really quickly, because I can. So I put this cap on. I'm just going to very, very quickly cut this, because I can cut this and then solder it back together again. And then I can at least rule out this component, because we have a short across this component. Beep. So, got that. And then we'll see if we've still got a short across there. We do. So that's not it. So I can at least rule that one out very, very quickly and easily. Put that back together. And just use a little bit of solder to hold that together. No one will know. There we go, that's joined. You're putting money on the real-time clock. There is one problem with that. The reason why there is a problem with that is because I tested it after I put the real-time clock on and I didn't have a short. So it's something that has happened since I put the real-time clock on. So let's just have a look at the things that I did since I tested it last. The things I did were put these 4 capacitors on. They went on. Put these 2 capacitors on, that one and that one. Now, this one here is not even on the same rail, so we're pretty safe with that. So if I test this one here, we're not getting a short across those. We are getting a short across this one, that one there. So it could be this one, except I put that one on before I did test after that. So. But that may be one of the components we have to take off and have a look at. I did this. I took this off and put a new, what do you call those things? Socket in place for this. Now, what I'm worried about is this socket has these big metally bits at the bottom, but they don't look wider than the pads. I don't believe we've got any bridge going on there. No issue there. stupid wire floating around the back. I better stick this down before it gets damaged. It is regrettable that this stage in the process can be so boring and tedious, and I apologise for that. But it's just the way things go. Let's just clean this up a bit first. Yes, good point there, Steve. Look out for the second-hand flares. Seven in a three-part series. I think what I've essentially said with this is I do expect this to probably be about 5 parts long. So the idea would be 4 parts for repair, and then the 5th part for diagnostics. And then I might do, oh shivers regal. I might do a follow-up. Like a summary. You know, sort of like I did with the Javier board repair. I did the work in a few videos, and then I kind of did a summary at the end of it saying, hey, this is what we did, this is how it all worked, isn't that good? Oh, sorry about the focus, folks. Smooth focus. I'm so happy with what I've done to the focus on this. I mean, I just cannot say it enough. This is so usable now. I just need to work out what I'm going to do with all the wiring. You know, the wires coming out of the ring light and the wires from the camera. Got to try and find a way of attaching them more permanently onto this rig. I'll probably put some little hooks on there or something. Little adhesive hooks, and then put the wires in there. So this, I'm just putting this wire here. This isn't, and it isn't part of the diagnosis. It's mainly just this wire was hanging out, and I just feel like it's going to get damaged if I don't tack it down. This is not how it's going to be permanently. It's just to tack it down for this sort of work. In the States, it's usually at night after I get off work. If I catch one, usually stay up all night watching. So it's, Yeah, it's I struggle with whatever time I stream. I know that if I stream at this time, most of the people in Europe miss out because it's too late over there. But I do try and stream. I think probably most of my viewers are from the US, so I do try and stream at a time that works for people in the US. But then, even then, of course, you've got, what is it, 3 hours worth of different time zones across there. I think it's 3. It could be more. I'm not sure. It's certainly 3 over here. We've sort of got a kind of comparable country width. Right. I'm going to take my jacket off. I'm starting to get warm now. I was cold before, but now I'm not. Right, so we are on the hunt for a short. And as I mentioned before, the kind of candidates we have are perhaps a component that I have put down and I had some UV mask underneath it, and that UV mask got cleared away by ultrasonic cleaning. See, this component I put on, I definitely redid this one, so let's check this one. Or is this one I already checked? We'll check it again. This is a SCSI chip, and I replaced this one. Oh, I shouldn't say replaced it. I whipped it off and had a bit of a clean under it and whipped it back on again. What's that in there? Is that metal? Is that just plastic? Don't know what that is, but it looks angry. Oh great, I've frozen. Again. Come on, move. It's nice and still though, isn't it? You can see it up in the corner there, just up on the top left. You see a little bit of blob there? But for some unknown reason, I'm going to get this out. Let's try a pin. I'll get the camera sorted in a sec. I'm going to get a needle, and I just need to unplug it and plug it in again. That's not sharp. It's gone. Can't get that out. So let's see if we can get this camera back. Unplug, plug. 4 time zones, there you go, excluding Alaska and Hawaii. Yes, I'm never going to include Alaska. No, that's joking. Hello to anyone in Alaska. Too cold. Let's check and make sure I got the orientation right. Yes, I did. And that's a little deliberate little wire that I put there. Oopsie. Don't drop it. That's any bridges there. I'll just see if it makes any difference after dislodging that little blob. Don't think it will, but we'll check anyway. Oh, made no difference. Oh, guys, I just sort of feel like we're going to have backwards steps going on here. We're going to end up rolling backwards in progress because I've done stuff that I now have to undone. So let's do some things. Let's do some things. Let's take this capacitor off. I don't like this capacitor. I never have. It does come close to many vias, and it may well be the cause of the problem. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And I think I'm going about this all wrong. So what did I establish? Yeah, I did that. I did that on all those. Okay, yeah, that's what I established. So I've established that I've lost my tweezers again. I have about 6 pairs of them. Right, so let's just remove that cap there, and then we test. Yep, still bad. Did I already remove this one? No, I don't think I did. So let's remove this one. Yep. Still bad. Let's remove this one. Yeah, that capacitor dropped out of uni with a huge debt. Oh God, I hate it when the thing switches off. And you think, oh, I've done it. Okay. I'm sort of feeling like I should take this floating point unit off. It's one where there's lots and lots of kind of exposed traces underneath it. It is one of the things that I did today. And it's certainly an easy enough thing to put back on. Because it could be shot too. Come off. God, will this ever come off? Right. Let's just clean this up a little bit. Get a little bit of wick. Soak up some of this solder. How about removing all socket ICs and RAM? Yeah. You know, the RAM is a really good point. That's something I can take off without having to actually melt any solder. So we will remove the RAM next. But do keep in mind that I have tested this with RAM in it before, not this exact RAM. So, you know, I don't think it will be the RAM, and unless there's something wedged. Okay. Right, let's test again. That was it. It was the FPU. We're back to good again. We're readings that we should be getting. So we did definitely have a short somewhere. Now, as to whether it's the fault on the FPU or whether I just got some solder, well, I don't know. Ouch, this is hot. I wonder if it was this one here, because this one's a bit funky cold Medina. What have we got? We got wick. There we go. So I'm just, see, a couple of these pins are a little bit on the flaky side because they're old, and there's a couple that are pushed down. They weren't sitting flush on the surface. I'm wondering if they got a big pool of solder underneath them, and that created a brudge. Now, I have been told by someone, I've never tried it myself, so I don't know for certain, but I have been told by someone that these will work without the floating point unit. So, shall we test it without the floating point unit and just see what happens? And then we can figure out what happens next. And wait till this cools down because it's friggin' hot. It is possible it's a bad FPU. I mean, it's easy enough to test if I got another computer with a socket and drop it in there. But if you have a look here, I'll just bring this out. See how this one here is not as high, and that just kind of invites problems. Make sure they're the same height. We definitely do have to accept that there is a possibility that this FPU is shot. There's kind of no easy way to test that, so other than putting it into a computer we know works, but that's easier said than done. It is at the moment anyway, because I don't have, and the best for that would be, what, LC3? Oh, I've got an LC3 just here. LC3 has a socket. We'll just test it. Let's test it, people. Ouch. Let's burn my finger. Okay. Because we've got to put all these caps back on now too. What a pain in the bum. Is this the same FPU that could drop into the socket of an LC550? It absolutely is. Now, this is 16 megahertz. Can I put, yeah, it'll just overclock it. It'll still work. A lot of these chips at the time, you could overclock them and they just didn't care. Do you have another FPU to try? I don't, but I can just whip one off another board. I normally have spares of FPUs, but the last few times where I've done work on computers, people have actually said to me, oh, do you have an FPU? And I've been like, yes, I do. And then next thing you know, I've got no FPUs left. And I haven't bought any yet because I went looking for them the other day and they were really expensive. So I'm going to just keep hunting until I can find some cheaper ones. I used to just buy them in bulk. I'd buy 5 or 10 at a time. Yeah. All right, let's do that. Let's just test this one now in an LC3 because we can. Oh, this LC3, my LC3, has an FPU in it. So I can steal that one because I don't mind stealing from myself. Stealing from Peter to pay Paul. Fire him up. Get a nice, loud, happy chime. These are the tools for removing PLCC chips from the socket. You stick the little things down the side and then you squeeze and pull and out they come. Good little things to have. So there's an FPU. Here's our one in question. Let's just drop him in and see what happens. Because I would expect that if this is shorting, we won't even be able to get this started. Okay, ready, steady. Chimed. So we're not getting a short on this. So the problem was not with the FPU, it was with my soldering. Yet again, thank you everyone for your support. Oh crap, that's not how it's meant to go. Oh Jesus, I minced that up. Look what I done. Look what I done. I bent a pin. Retract super chat. Dana, where's the super chat? I didn't see it. I missed it. Did it come in? Did I miss it? When was that? Was that from another day? Man, I did a number on this, didn't I? Just need to check here. 35 people watching. Thank you. Thank you to those people who are watching. Just a recap in case anyone's just joined very quickly. This is the Macintosh SE 30 that I've been working for several hours on. It is not a repair that I would do for a customer because I do not believe that anyone would be willing to pay for my time. I have been working on it, number one, because I like SE 30s, and number two, because it provides some content for my YouTube channel. And that might be considered a little bit rash and silly, but, you know, people like to watch rash and silly sometimes. They kind of like, oh, let's watch this idiot trying to get this computer working. That's just how the modern world works, isn't it? So, anyhow, I'm really clinging on to this floating point unit, aren't I? I mean, other people might have just thrown it away. But I'm like, no, darn it. I want it to work. Right. Do-do, diddly do, fiddler, 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 fiddler do, diddly do, diddly do. Good, okay. So let's try and put it back on, and this time we'll try and do it without shorting. Oh, look at this, super chat. Yay, thank you very much, $5. I shall retract this again later. I'll send you cash. But I'm not giving you back in US dollars. You can have it in Australian dollars. And also from Rudy, thank you very much for that. $5.50 for more solder. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. For more solder. This is what I get for dissing your 840 AV, yeah. I know. I've never dissed your 840 AV. I never have. There is only one thing about your 840 AV that I will say, and I think you would have to agree with me, Steve. I think you started working on that computer at a point where your skill level wasn't quite up for the job. I think if you were to imagine you got hold of that 840 AV in the condition you got it in back then and started working on it now, I suspect you'd probably have it sorted in about half an hour. I think the main issue you have now is you are not only having to repair the thing, but you're having to deal with your earlier repair work when you were but a pup, learning these new skills, etc., etc. And of course, I am always, until you fix it, I am always going to give you grief about that component that's just hanging off a piece of wire on the underside. That's just always going to happen. So as long as you work on that 840 AV, until you get that thing sorted out, hello pigeon, I am always going to give you grief about that little floaty component. Oh, one from Jack 60. Okay, thank you very much for more FPUs. Okay, all right. I'm pretty well off for solder at the moment, so Rudy, I hope you don't mind if I actually put your $5.50 towards some more FPUs as well, because I definitely do need some. I'll get on to the E to the Bay, or the Ali to the Express. I'm cleaning this up a lot, and the reason why I'm cleaning it up will be obvious to some, not to others. But the reason why I'm cleaning it up is because I am actually going to paint some UV solder mask on some of these exposed traces in between the pins here, which is going to reduce the chance of me creating a short like I just done. It's exactly why I hesitate to start work on my Quadra 610. Look, 610, I have to come out and just say, in all honesty, the 610 can cause some grief. I can't even remember why, because it's such a long time since I worked on one. But the first 610 I worked on, I had problems galore, and I can't even remember what the problems were, but I had problems. The second one, not so much, but I just want people to be prepared. Try board with no FPU. I have. Oh, but I was going to do that, wasn't I? Yeah, I will do it. I will try it with no FPU, but I'll just paint some of this crap on first because I'm already partway through doing it. My chickens, I think, are a bit cross at me because I haven't given them a snack today. Do. Fixing SE30. It's what we like to do. God, look at all these. Why did I decide to do this? Why did I decide to do this? I probably should just paint it over the whole thing and then just scrape away the pads. Probably be quicker. start, don't you reckon? Beautiful. Okay, that'll do. I think that's the worst of it. Okay. Told me same time I was trained that the SE30 should work with no FPU. Yes, I know, but can you trust it, Joe? Yes, I have heard that as well. And I think I heard it from Joe too. But I've never checked myself, so. Okay. Well, tissue. No, hang on. This. Paint skills. Going outside the lines though. Not happy. No, I'm going to have to scrape it. Be easier to scrape it. Okay. Let's now remove stuff we don't need. There we go. Getting closer. You really want to get this stuff properly baked on, cured. Make sure it's really, really dry. I tend to use not just this little UV laser, but I've got another lamp. I love lamp. And I just lay it over the top of the area and shine the light. I really don't like this bit here. Right, let me get the light. I'll just plonk it on here for a sec. I'll just catch up on the chat while that's getting a little bit of shining. Right, there we go. make sure I haven't missed anything here of importance. Is your UV light powered by your current limited bench power supply? Did I? I think I ramped the current up. Yeah, I did. I ramped the current up. So it's not limiting. So I did have it limited, but I ramped it back up again when I started using this. I need to get a brighter UV light. They are out there. The one that I'm using here at the moment, I've got my laser beam, which is good for little point work. And for the larger stuff, I've got a lamp here. And I think this is 30 watts or something like that. I'm not sure. It does do a good job, but it takes time. It's not like as instant as the laser. And I would love to get, you can buy, sorry, this is 10 watt, but you can buy a 30 watt version. So I would love to have that 30 watt version. All right, so we're going to just plonk some, excuse me, those capacitors that I took off because I thought they might be causing a short. We're going to put those back on now so that we've at least got a full complement of capacitors on there. And then we will do a test, hopefully without a short. And we will see what we will see. I will end up putting the FPU back on after the test, regardless of the outcome, because I've had so many times where people have told me things and then they've turned out to not be the case. And that's not to say that the whole thing about the FPU not being there and still working isn't the case. It may well be the case. But there have been times where I've said to people, people said, oh, you do this and it'll work and everything. And then I've tried it myself and it hasn't worked. So I just have to trust in my own tests. There's one. Got this little guy here. This one's a real mess, this one, but that's just how it is. Can we commit to an 8-part series on this board? No, we cannot. We cannot. As I said before, I would very much like to have this wrapped up in 5 and possibly a summary at the end. We are at 4 now, so that means we are getting to the end. So everyone can, get excited. Looking forward to the outcome. Oh, crap. Drop the thing. There we go. It's making a connection. It is awful. It's terrible. It needs work. It needs to be sorted. It needs to make it more permanent. But it is sort of working for the moment. I'm just going to add some more solder on here to try and rigid that up. There we go. A bad F-line instruction system bomb would be nice. I would consider myself extremely lucky if I got that. I think we will be far from that. I do. And I took this one off up here as well. And we will just check and make sure that we don't have... How are we doing? I think we're heading up for 3 hours. whenever I'm working on this, I just always like, where does the time go? How is it that I am 3 hours into the 5th stream of this computer? How is that? How is that possible? God, this thing is annoying me. Right, now let's just double check again to make sure that we don't have a short, that we didn't get one sneak up on us. And so that's the bibbidi boom to the bibbidi bap. Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what we should be reading. So that feels good. Good. Oh, geez, I shouldn't do that with a sore throat. I can't do my impression of feel the hate flow through you. What's his name? Palpatine, the Emperor, that chap. It was originally played by a woman in Empire Strikes Back. And then they recast it to, what's his face? This sounds like this conversation is getting extremely silly. Okay, so here we go. Testing again. Now, we don't have a short anymore, so I don't expect this to go... we need to connect up. Power. Like this. And once again, everyone, please don't expect this to work. Just saying it. Please don't expect this to work, because it won't. But we do need to test it as part of progressive stuff. From this section to that section to this section. All right. Speaker. I like to keep the speaker nice and close. Now, can you guys see the readout? You can't. So let me just move that camera up a tiny bit so that you can see the voltage readout while I test this, because that's a very importante part. Beep, beep, beep. There we go. Okay, that's power supply. That's all right. It's okay. That's guaranteed. Okay, all work is guaranteed. Okie dokie. Because we know that the live streams can't go for any longer than 4 hours because my microphone runs out of battery. Okay, so this is our little unit here for testing this, and I have gone to great pains to spin all these around so they're facing up the other way, and for this test, they're now up the wrong way. So, yay. All right, so power, battery, caps, no floating point unit, lots and lots of trace repairs, very little chance of it working. Let's give it a go. I'll just get the microphone here. Okay, well, I'm getting spot on 12 and 5 volts, so we know that there's power coming through. And I have what I would call some form of checkerboard. What do you reckon? So, all right, well, there's lots to read into this. We didn't get any sound. I'm going to try pressing the reset button. Okay, reset is working. And when I reset, we get a little farp from the speaker. Program is interrupt, does nothing. I don't think we're reading anything from the ROM at this stage. Just going to see if anything is getting warm. Do. Swap it with a known good video ROM. That's what I just got from Steve. Steve does sometimes talk sense. Okay, so what have we? Where have we got heat? I've got heat. Definitely getting warmth from all the video circuitry, all those PAL chips and stuff. Getting warmth from there. Now, if it was just video, we would probably still be getting a chime. But anyhow, we'll do it anyway. I'm not getting anything. Well, I'm getting a little bit of warmth on the CPU, so that's something. All right, we're going to do what Steve says, and we are going to try putting a different video ROM on here. There's a spider around here. Isn't it cool to just have this thing plugging in to show us the voltage? The voltage. Oh God, I dropped me friggin' speaker. He travelled all the way over there. I'm inclined to probably swap out these PAL chips too. Let's do what Steve done, asked us to do, because you know the man makes sense. The man makes my bad video made it not chime. I wonder if I'll be able to make myself my own video ROM. Do you reckon? You know what I also didn't do is I didn't connect up a SCSI thingy to it to see whether it was actually going to load. Okay, video ROM from my known good board. Stand up. My watch is telling me to stand up. I was standing up before. Didn't you see me? Oh. Oh, that's not good. There we go. Okay, we managed to bend all those pins to shit. Is the spider named Boris? Why not? Try a different ROM sim. It's a thingy. Okay, known good video ROM. Test number 2. I won't connect up the speaker this time because we can clearly see when things are wrong. Poop a toop poop poop. Skiddly pop a toop top. All right, side view. Same problem. Actually, it's a little bit tinier, if anything, but it's still a little bit nasty. Yes, it is. It is his. There's no way. It's definitely mine. I mean, yeah, there's no way I would do this for someone else. I'm going to swap these PAL chips around. They are getting warm. So we'll see. It could be a problem with them, but it's more likely, oh, excuse me, to be a problem with wiring. So around this sort of region here. So we're going to swap all of those out. Actually, I should check and make sure they're in the right place, because that's always possible that someone didn't put them in right. I need my special glasses for that. There we go. And that give me supervision. So that is 0665, 0665. That one is 0747, 0747, 0754, 0754, 0755, 0755, 0746, 0746. So, going to take these 5 out. Going to swap them. Flip them and reverse them. No, we won't do that. That's a stupid thing to do. Are we doing Maciac tomorrow? Anyone? Steve? You doing Maciac tomorrow? Jay? No. It seems my Mac SE is in an SE30 case. Yeah, that's fine as long as you knew you were buying an SE. Because yes, as Joe pointed out, if you think you're buying an SE30 and you get an SE, I've seen that happen. It's a bit disappointing because they are not really comparable in terms of performance. One. I wonder if anyone tried to power this up while it was in its horrible battery bomb-ridden state. I mean, I basically got given this as a parts board. There's no real consideration that anyone would attempt to repair it. No sane person would. Two. There we go. So we have transferred all of the power chips across from a working board to this board, and we'll see if this makes any difference. Probably not. Oh yeah. I'm going to go get my speaker. I mean, I know it's not going to make any difference, but I don't like my speaker being on the floor like that. This is not going to be easy. I'm going to have to contort my body. Think thin thoughts. Kate Moss. Kate Moss. Kate Moss. Okay. There we go. Right. Okay, we're connected for a test again here. So what we've done is we've essentially replaced everything that's socketed. And we'll give that a whirl. Okay, ready, steady. 3, 2, 1, and go. I do believe we're going to see exactly the same thing. Yep, slightly different pattern. Yuck, ugly checkerboard pattern nonetheless. I am going to try a different ROM now. I'll need to hunt that down because I'm not sure where it is. So just bear with me a second. I think that's in the container with the RAM. Black Benny, ram a lamb. Whoa, Black Benny, ram a lamb. Black Benny had a child, ram a lamb. Damn thing gone wild, ram a lamb. That's a non-genuine. I want to try a genuine ROM. Is that a ROM? That could be a ROM. Nope, it's another 16 megabyte RAM here. You cannot tell me there's no ROM in here. God, there just seems to be RAM everywhere. Of course, ROMs trick you as well because, you know, when they're facing the other way, it's hard to tell that they're ROM. They just look like RAM when they're upside down. Now, this isn't how I normally file things. I've got things in a very, very messy state at the moment. Number of reasons, but yeah, so can't find that. We can try a different ROM. I don't think changing the ROM will make any difference, but I sort of feel like it's a necessary step. Snizz. Okay, trying a different RAM. This is one from this is the Satanic Mac Club. From good friend of the channel, K Cobra. He puts little LED lights on his things, and I like that. Well, the light came on, so we know there's power getting to the ROM. Excuse me. Yeah, so we're definitely not getting there at the moment. What I will do, I'm going to grab a SCSI device. I'm going to connect that and just see if it looks like that's getting power, which it probably will, but we'll see. Yeah, got a single flashy light from that. I don't expect that we'll get anything. We're not getting any chime. There's no sign that it's actually booting, but I just want to see whether it is just a video problem and a sound problem, and whether the computer might actually be busily booting, which it's not. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to put, the RAM's good. More importantly, I can take the RAM out, because if I take the RAM out, what I should end up with is a sad Mac chime. So let's do that then, shall we? But I'm going to put that floating point unit on and hopefully do it without creating a short to ground this time. We will test it again. If we are still getting this, that will be the end of this stream, and then the next stream, which will be part 5, will be the diagnostic process. Now, what will that diagnostic process be? Well, we're going to have to buzz out some of the really important things. So we're going to have to get our multimeter and our schematic, and we're going to have to buzz out quite a few different things. We're going to have to buzz out all of the RAM chips. I think the RAM is probably, video is probably going to be our most likely culprit at the moment. Okay, so I've taken all the RAM off, switch him on. Yep, and let's try something else. Let's take the ROM out and see what it does. So if we're getting the same thing, we know it's just not even getting a start. Yeah. So it's not even getting a start. It's not even trying to talk to the ROM at this stage, not trying to talk to RAM, nothing like that. So we're not even getting to sort of step 1 with this at the moment. So that's all fine. I should take a photo of this because this will be part 4, thumbnail, won't it? I hate trying to take photos of these because they flicker. They don't flicker on this camera because this camera is synced to it. All right, so let's put the floating point unit on. We'll do one final test. It'll almost definitely look exactly the same. And then we shall call it a day for this one. And then we will, the next one will be when we reconvene for part 5. And we will we will start actually testing different components. We'll go through and we'll ping out every single CPU pin. So we'll go and check every single pin for the CPU and see that it's reaching its destination. That's a really important one. So that's the first thing that we will do. This ain't stuck down too well. That's okay. I'm not too fussed about it. It doesn't need to stay. It doesn't matter if it washes away. All it needs to do is stop any solder from slipping across to it when I put the component down. So I'm really, oh God, my throat. Really not too fussed about it not being stuck on properly. There is solder in that, so it's not actually protecting from corrosion. All it's doing is trying to stop the solder spreading to the side when I put the component on. Okay, so this is our floating point unit, which didn't cause any problems when I stuck it in LC3. Didn't make it not work or anything. Oh crap! No, that's not. That's the good one. I think the other one I was. Here it is. Let's try this. Yeah. So this one is not as pretty. It's the one I was just looking at. Definitely not as pretty. Great stuff. All right. Let's get the orientation right, because there is nothing worse than sticking a chip on only to find out you've got the orientation wrong. Well, actually, there are probably lots of things worse than that. I'm just thinking, you know, that's coming at it from a very narrow sort of view. I'm thinking like cancer diagnosis and stuff like that. That's way worse than sticking a component on with the wrong orientation. But it's all relative, isn't it? Mark me. Okay. Okay, we've done one row of pins. We're going to quickly check and make sure that we haven't created a short. I'm going to be testing this as I go. Let's keep it here to give us a running check. Okay. looking good. Right, let's just get this little pin here looking like he's in the right position. There we go. So you could see where some of the danger spots were when I was doing that side there and here. Okay, and then last, but definitely not least, well, maybe it is least, I don't know. Don't know enough about what these pins do. This might be the most important side of the chip for all I know, but I don't think it is. All right. Okay, so we don't have a short, so that's good. Let's just check and make sure that I didn't create any bridges, because I'm good at that as well. Yep, I've created some bridges. I'm going to burn those bridges. Managed 2 of them on that side. There we go. How about this side? Nope, no bridges. Ugliness, but no bridges. That side is delicious. And looking good. I don't see any bridges there either. All right, so this is going to be the final check before we wrap things up tonight. I will, well, it's today here. I need to go and have some lunch because I'm a hungry boy. I'm a hungry boy. Let's get some RAM into the Ramanacle. Putting in bank A. If you're only going to have 4 in here, they need to be in bank A. Okay. Take that out. Don't need that. Floating point unit is on there. So we can consider this computer, apart from the battery and a couple of diodes, pretty much complete now. Doesn't work, but it's complete. Another speaker. And then side view. Okay. Right, there we go. So, everyone enjoy, soak this up, because this is going to be the last test that I do today in this video. So, all components are on there, all new caps are on there, we don't have any shorts to ground, we know that much. We've just been getting constant checkerboard, almost definitely related to a break in a trace, and I would say probably to the CPU itself. That would be my guess. So the next step that we'll do in the next video, in the diagnostic video, I will be going through with the schematic and checking every pin of the CPU. I may even do that not during a live stream, because that might be just way too boring. So let's go and switch this on and see what happens. So powering them on 3, 2, 1. No sound, no chime, that's what we expected. And I said we'll be looking at a checkerboard. Yeah, same sort of checkerboard. So that's where we are at the moment. We can look at it, we can look at certain things from the positive, and that is we know we are actually getting a video signal out, which is kind of good. but we've got all sorts of chicanery going on here. We know that the ROMs and the PALs are okay because I've swapped them over with known good ones. Yeah, so this isn't really technically CMOS CMAC. CMOS CMAC looks quite different. And actually, that's a good point, actually, because I know that CMOS CMAC varies based on which video RAM chips you've got in there. And I may not have the right video RAM chips in there. So this might be just good old-fashioned CMOS CMAC, yeah. But, you know, look, there's some positives here. We know we're getting power through. We're getting the 5 volts there. The ROM is getting power. The CPU, I think, the RAM getting power. See, that's another thing we haven't done. We haven't pinged out all the RAM chips. We've pinged out some of them. We've done all the data lines, but we haven't done every single pin there, so we don't know about that. But I would expect that if it was a RAM-related issue, we would be getting a sad Mac chime. We're not getting that. I say we're not even getting to the point where it's actually reading the ROM. We probably need to ping out the ROM again, even though we did do that before. A lot of stuff has happened since then, so we probably need to check that again as well. So, going to have to check all the pins from the ROM. We're going to have to check the CPU. We're probably going to have to check all of this video stuff up here as well. But that's what's going to be next. I'm still feeling like it looks like the CPU isn't starting and clearing the RAM. The CPU is for me, is the most likely thing here. I actually think that we're probably missing we're not getting a connection to the CPU here at some location. So that's what we will be testing in the next video. That will be in part 5. But, you know, got 12 and 5, and it's like right on the money. Look at it. 12.0, 5.001. But this is, I'm pretty sure this might be a recapped power supply. So that's probably why it's so good. Good. Yeah, keep in mind this board was in extremely rough shape. And of course, you know, Jay from the House of Moth, he wants this to last as long as possible. He's like, you know, we've got to try and get 8 parts out of this. Well, I think 5 will do us. I personally think that we will probably get this working in 5 parts. But, you know, maybe I'm just being way too optimistic. So, everyone, I would like to say a big old thank you to you all for the super chats, for keeping me company. Special shout out to the person who gave me a thumbs down. You're my kind of special. And just a reminder, if you don't mind, people, could you please
Smash that like button.
It would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to get some photos taken here so I can make a thumbnail for the next one. So, thank you everyone for participating. Thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping the chat lively. I apologise if you ask me stuff and I miss them, but you know, I was concentrating on a few things during this, so I apologise for that. Yeah, super chats I got. That's awesome. Thank you to all those people who gave me super chats, and yeah, and just, you know, all in all, just keeping me entertained while I do this very, very tedious and mundane task. But we will get there. I promise you. No, I don't promise anything, but I'm pretty sure we'll get this SE30 working. So thanks again, and I hope to see you at the next stream. I'm not sure exactly when that will be, but hopefully not too far away. So then, see you next time. Bye-bye.